You know why you're here. You've come this video already. I don't need to do any introductions. So everything you'll be needing for this tutorial is first of all a copy of the UPack tool, which will be in the description of this video, and most importantly, you'll need a copy of Unreal Engine 4. Specifically, you want 4.25.4. You can get this in using the Epic Games launcher and by pressing this plus button, and then scrolling down and choosing the version. I already have it here, so it will not show it again. It will take a bit to install. It is 10 gigabytes large, but once it's there, you can press the launch button to open up the editor. And it might give you this warning if you don't have much space on your C drive, it doesn't matter. And then you want to click on Games. Next, you want this to be a blank project. And then you want Blueprint, Desktop or Console, Maximum Quality, no starter content, specifically no starter content. That's the most important one out of all these. Memory tracing should be disabled. Then you choose the direction you want to be storing this in, preferably one that has a lot of space, that you don't need too much for this. And then you need to name the project whatever you want. Then you create the project, and then you can start adding your sound effects. So here we are in Unreal Engine. We will be doing pretty much everything in the content browser, so ignore like place actors and such. Those do not matter for us right now. Well, maybe, but all for the context of the tutorial. What the fuck? Anyway, so here we want a new folder. We're going to call this audio. Open this up. We now want a folder called narration. We then want JPN. We then want default. And then I have everything in a folder called tunes. I forgot if this is required or not. I have always known sounds. Then we want something called a sound cue. And this needs to be named exactly NA underscore 105. Okay, let me start over. Capital NA underscore 1501 underscore capital B BTL underscore capital C counter underscore Q with a capital C. And this is what we'll be mostly concerning ourselves with. And then in the sounds folder, we will put all your sounds here. So I have them all down as OGG files because that's just what I happen to have on hand. And then name it whatever you want, doesn't matter. If the sound is too loud, for example, that's pretty loud, we can go into it and turn it down manually using the volume parameter within the file. And then, whoa. We open up our count queue, and here we are in the sound cue blueprint. The main things we want to be doing here is getting this random node and hooking this up. And then we want to grab our free sound effects, drag them up here, and then put them down, and plug these into the random node. In the random node, you can alter the weight of certain sounds, so they can appear more or less often than others. And here we can test it. If we just go back here, make sure you've saved it. And they are very clearly randomized. So now we are not done. We want to go all the way back into content, and I have really messed this up. There we go. Content. We want a new folder. We want to call this folder sound classes. Make sure that's spelled right. Yeah, it is. And then we need a sound attenuation called atten_invalid. And then we want a sound class, under sounds classes sound class, called narration. We don't need to open these. These are simply here to just be there. Then in here, under the sound class, we want to select narration. Scroll down. And attenuation settings, we set that to atten_invalid. This is so that our custom-made counter cue is the same as the one used in Strive, as far as the class and attenuation are concerned. Now, you can always check again if you want to. I will say now that the random node has a cap of 32 nodes on the left side. This does not mean you are forced to only have 32 sounds, as you can just make a second random node and use like this sort of setup. So if you want to have more than 32, you can. Then, when you're done, go to File, Save, then File, Cook Content for Windows. This will take a while the first time you do this because it has to compile all of the engine's shaders. The second time you do this, and any subsequent times, will be a lot faster because you will only be cooking the new files. So once it's done, you want to go all the way to your project file. Under the saved, under the cooked, Windows no editor, the name of your project, content. This is what you want. And then you want to open up your copy of UPack, which I will have linked in the description for you to download. You open up UPack. You want to make a new folder. Name it whatever you want your mod to be called. So I have counter hit tutorial here. And then you want to make a folder called red in all caps. And you want to drag in the content folder and put it in here. However, you want to open up content, delete these shader archives, and most importantly, delete the sound classes, because we were using the ones we made in this project as a dummy for the real thing. And if we're not changing them, we don't need them in here. So in here, you can check if the files here are the same. They should be. And then you want to go to Unreal Pack with compression. And then you'll get this thing telling you that that's executed in however many seconds. You will now have this .pack file with whatever name the folder had. Now, to test this in Strive, you want to go to the Strive directory. You want to go to red, content, packs, squiggly arc mods. If you do not have this folder, you can make it yourself. And then you can even make a new folder, put them directly in here. You put in your .pack, and then you get this packchunk.sig file. You make a copy of it in here, and you name this to be exactly the same as your mod, but with .sig at the end instead of .pack. From here, you can now open Strive. Go to training rows and test out how it sounds.
Who dares to enter the mayhem? FLI keys.
can faintly hear them behind the actual sounds, which means that we need to turn up the volume on them, but we can hear that they are here, so this is clearly working. I will give you the warning now. If a counter hit sound is already playing, it will not play another until that sound is completed. This isn't really something we can do much about, and why would you? The sound just shouldn't be that long. But make it works, and we can go back and change whatever we want, add new sounds, alter the existing ones. But generally, we have a mod now. If you have any questions, you can drop them in the comments and I will try to answer them. If a link is broken, I apologize, I'll get it open as soon as I notice it.